I've got my Bustin honey mustard ribs, my Korean style barbecue ribs, and a smoke loaded baked potato. I'm Greg from Stewie's Barbecue, and let me show you how it's done. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you've watched this channel, you know that I only ever usually do shorts. Things are changing around here. I'm going to do full-length videos from now on, starting with this video today. My Instagram and TikTok will only have basically little shorts of promoting my long videos, and that's how we're going to do it from now on. I found with the short videos, I just didn't have enough time to say the things I wanted to, and I want to teach a lot more. As I am just a dad who barbecues in his backyard, I've been doing it now for 10 years, and I want to help people get better at their barbecue, and I can't do that with 60 seconds. So from now on, full-length video starting with today. So let's go. I got my pork over here, and I'm going to grab it, and we'll get going. All right, so I've got some baby back ribs here that I bought at my local butcher shop. They are cut. They look like they've got the fat knocked off them. But let's get them open. Let's see if I've got any work to do on them, and then I'll trim them up if need be. All right, so let's do that right now. All right, so I've got them out of their packaging. They look great. The butchers actually took everything off that needs to be off. They're nice and clean. The only thing that I want to do is I've got this little gnarly end here. I don't like that. I want it more like these guys here, where it's very even. Because this is what happens is this is just going to burn. Like that's just going to burn. It's going to be tough as nails, and it's going to be no fun to eat. So let's get that off, and we'll square that. I'm just going to look where the bone is here, and I'm just going to square it off right here like that. And now that should look much cleaner. That's what I want to see. That's much better. All right, so everything is cleaned up. I've got my edges squared. There's no extra fat that needs to be taken off this. Let's flip them over and see if the membrane's on the back, and if it is, we've got to get that off of there. And it is. The membrane is on the back. So I'm going to take a butter knife here, and I'm going to try to go along a bone right in the middle, and I'm going to try to lift this up. And you can use a paper towel as well to get your finger in there a little bit better. Just need to make a little bit more of a, yeah, and as you're just guiding that knife in, just kind of lift up at the same time. And you can see it starts to tear nicely. And then you can get through to the other side, get your finger under there, and then perfect. All right. And now I've looked at this underside too. There's a little bit of meat hanging here. All that stuff's going to burn. I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to trim that up a little bit more. But we've got the membrane on, excuse me, membrane off, and we are ready to go for some seasoning. All right, so for a binder, I just always use mustard. It just works perfectly, and it doesn't change the taste of your ribs at all. So let's get some mustard on there. Okay, so the first seasoning I'm going to use today is for my Bustin honey mustard ribs. This is a rub some butt. It is one of my favorites. This is my wife's actually favorite set of ribs that I make for Well, basically I make them for her because she loves them so much. So this is her favorite. This is her favorite rub. We're going to use. I'll show you the barbecue sauce we use on them later. But let's get some rub onto these. And I do a heavy coat on the front, and it's just a light coat on the back. Okay, so for my Korean style ribs, I actually did my own rub. What I did was I took an old bottle of rub that was empty, washed it out, And then I put in a rub recipe that I found on the internet, and I'm going to post it right here. And if you want, just pause the video, and if you can write it down. It's going to look fantastic. You can see it's really red in there. It's got a lot of great flavor. It's got that Korean chili pepper in it. It's going to be fantastic. So we're going to add some rub, small bit of rub to the back as always, and then heavy on the top. Okay, so now everything is coated front, back. I've got my rubs on. The Q is started up. It's running at 300 degrees with pecan pellets, but I gotta let these sit for a good 20 minutes, let them sweat out a little bit, let that seasoning get in there before I put them on. So we'll head out in about 20 minutes, put them on the Q, and then I'll go through the rest of my steps that we have to do for this cook. All right, so they've been sitting for about 20 minutes. They've sweated out a little bit. They're ready to go on. As I said, 300 degrees here on the Traeger. I've got pecan pellets. Let's get them on. When I put them on, I like to bunch them up a little because that's how they're going to cook. They're going to cook. They're going to look a little bit nicer that way. They're ready to go. I'm going to get this lid closed. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave these for 1 hour, and then I'm going to come out at the 1 hour mark, and we're going to spritz them with apple cider vinegar and water, and then we're going to get the potatoes on. So I got to get inside and start prepping those potatoes. All right, so it's time to get the loaded baked potatoes ready. There's not much to the first part of the prep. All we got to do is add some olive oil, poke some holes in them, and then add some salt. Let's do it. All right, it's been 1 hour. It's time to spray the ribs and get the potatoes on, so let's do that. So what I've got here is 1 part apple cider vinegar, 3 parts water. I'm gonna spray now at the 1 hour mark, hour 30 mark, and 2 hour mark, and then we're gonna wrap. Okay, so we're almost at the 2 hour mark. We're pretty much got to get those ribs off. I'm going to temp them. They're usually between 170, 175. I'm usually happy with that. And then I'm going to bring them in and wrap them. I just want to show you my wrapping process. So first of all, I've got double wrapped tin foil. I've got a stick of butter laid down here. And then I have a few more pieces over here that will go on the top. And then I've just sprinkled a little bit of brown sugar on, not much. You want maybe a tablespoon and a half possibly, not too much. It will burn if you put too much brown sugar on, and it will ruin your ribs. Last but not least, I like to just drizzle some honey on there, and I'm going to do this for both my ribs, and then we're going to put them back on the Q for around an hour until I reach an internal temperature of around 203. That is where I like my ribs. You make them to where you like them. Some people like them 199, 200. Some people want them falling off the bone, so that's around 207 to 210. I like mine somewhere in between. Around 203 is perfect for me. So let's get this honey on, and then I'm going to go back out and check those ribs. All right, so it's been 3 hours. I just went out and temped the ribs, actually one is 203, one is 202.2, good enough. I brought them in. What I've done is I've took all the juice out, dumped it in the sink, and I've made now like a little boat here. And we're gonna add the barbecue sauce. They're going back on the Q for about 10 minutes, and then they're gonna sit for a little while. so that the juices all collect back in and it's going to be tender and amazing. All right, so it's time to sauce the Korean style ribs. Usually I buy a sauce from the store that I absolutely love. I went to 6 places yesterday and nobody had it. I've had to make my own sauce. I never usually do. I didn't take me making the sauce. I will put it in the description where to find it and how to make it. It's just from Traeger.com. So let's add this on and let's get them back on the barbecue. All right, so the ribs are back on the queue for 10 minutes just to get that nice little glaze on them. The potatoes weren't done. If I had to do it over again, I should have just put them on when I put the ribs on, about 3 hours. I cheated a little bit. I put them in the microwave for 5 more minutes. They were temping around 175. Usually a well-done potato is around 190, 200. So that's where these are now. So I cheated a little, my apologies, but again, I'll just put them on at 300. If they're going at 300, probably 3 hours, close to it. If you're just cooking a potato by itself, though, you can just flip your grill on to like 400, and they'll be done in no time. I have a recipe from Malcolm Reed. This is actually the recipe for the loaded baked potatoes. Thing is, I could not find some really large russet potatoes. These are medium and small to be the best. This recipe I've got in front of me is for like really large russet potatoes. So let me go through what I've got here. So I've got 2 cups of marble. I've got 2 cups of Monterey Jack. I've got a pound of bacon diced up, and I've got a bushel of green onions diced up, and 1 stick of butter. And then as well, we're going to add some sour cream. I'm going to have to eyeball this, I think. The way this is, depends how much potato I get out of here, but we'll see, and then I'll figure it out as we go. But if you've got 4 like extra large russet potatoes, this is probably your the perfect amount of ingredients that you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tops off just like that, and we're going to keep that top. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take a spoon and we're going to scoop out and make a boat. And I'm just going to be ever so gentle because I don't want this thing to fall apart. So this is what it should look like. I've hollowed it out quite a bit and I've dumped everything into this bowl. I am now going to do and I'm going to actually, before I do that, I want to get this out as well because this is all good stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip ahead to the next, and I'm just going to finish off the next 3 potatoes and we'll meet back here. Okay, so this is what I got. Not a whole lot, so we're going to have to just eyeball this recipe. As I said, these are pretty small potatoes. It's all I could find, unfortunately. So we're going to go, I've got a full stick of butter here. Let's try just go half a stick. We're going to mix that around. There's 2 cups of marble here. Let's just go with about a half cup, with about a cup. If you're doing the full recipe, make sure you save some cheese at the end because it's going to go on top of the potatoes and you're going to melt it as well. So save a little bit for your top, depending on what you're using. If you're using cheddar, I would save cheddar. It always looks better, as they say. And then put your Havarti or Monterey Jack or whatever you have in there as well into the potatoes here. Let's do, this is a pound of bacon. Let's do a half pound. And as well, save some bacon for the end. And scallions as well, save some scallions for the end. We're going to top all this with a little bit of everything. Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're going to stuff them back in. And just get as much as you can in there. Just kind of cram it back in, smush it. It'll expand a bit. It's all good. Okay, so that is it. I've got them all stuffed, ready to go, but we got to add some stuff to the top just to make it look good. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to grab a few chives and we'll just sprinkle those on. We're going to put a little bit more bacon on. And then lastly, let's put on a little bit of cheese. And then I've got the barbecue, the smoker back up to 400 degrees because the ribs are off now. So I got the smoker up to 400 degrees. We're going to put these back on for a little while, basically till everything melts. And then we're going to serve. All right, everything's done. It was about 10 more minutes on the queue at 400 for the baked potato. Everything looks amazing. We got to try it. So I'm going to spin this around and let's grab a rib from the middle. Find the way the bone's going here. Looks good, nice and juicy. Oh man, that was really good. That was really good. Delicious. Got a nice little bite to it. Really happy with that. All right, let's try these Korean style with this homemade barbecue sauce on it. Oh, juicy, tender. Oh, it's got some bite to it. That's really good. I'd make that sauce again, actually. Yep. Both winners. My 50th birthday is coming up. We recently had some really good friends over to the house and they brought me some early gifts. I think I'm going to have this one with the ribs tonight and this one for dessert. Thanks for watching. And if you want to see more, subscribe, like the video, please. And don't forget to hit the notifications button if you'd like to know when the videos drop. I'll see you guys in the next video.